The colony ship Horizon drifted into orbit around the uncharted planet designated KG-217. Through the observation deck windows, Lisa Warren studied the strange blue-green world below. Something about its gravity readings puzzled the science team for weeks, but to Lisa, it meant only one thing: an opportunity for discovery. "Science Officer Warren, report to the briefing room," came Captain Miller's voice over the intercom. In the briefing room, holographic images of the planet's surface rotated slowly above the central table. 5 other crew members were already seated when Lisa arrived. "We're sending a team down," Captain Miller announced. "Initial scans show breathable atmosphere and no immediate biological threats." Lisa leaned forward. "Captain, I'd like to volunteer to lead the ground team." Several heads turned in surprise. Lisa was known for her brilliant analytical mind, not her field experience. Captain Miller studied her face. "This is your first ground mission, Warren. Why now?" Lisa gestured to the unusual gravity readings displayed on the screen. "Because something's different about this planet. These readings suggest technology, not natural phenomena." After a moment's consideration, the captain nodded. "Very well. Choose your team. Departure in 3 hours." The landing craft touched down on a vast plain bordered by purple-leaved forests. Lisa stepped onto the alien soil, her heart pounding with excitement. The gravity felt normal despite the odd readings from orbit. "Fan out in pairs," she instructed the 6-person team. "Stay in communication range." With her partner Kevin Baker, Lisa headed toward a ridge of unusual rock formations. As they climbed higher, the formations began to look less natural and more constructed. "These aren't random," Kevin said, running his scanner over the smooth surfaces. "They're too precisely angled." Lisa nodded. "And look at the scale. Whatever built these was large." They discovered what appeared to be a road. If roads were 30 feet wide with steps 2 feet high, everything about the structures suggested beings of enormous size. "We should report this," Kevin said nervously, "and regroup with the others." As they turned back, a rockslide separated them. Kevin was cut off on the far side of a newly formed ravine. "I'll go around and meet you back at the landing site," Lisa called across the gap. "It's not far." Kevin looked uncertain but agreed, heading back along the path they had come. Alone now, Lisa continued her exploration, documenting everything with her wrist recorder. As she rounded a massive stone pillar, she froze. Standing before her was a being she could only describe as a giant. Nearly 15 feet tall, with silvery blue skin and 4 arms, it regarded her with 3 large eyes set in a broad, intelligent face. Lisa's training evaporated. Her breath caught in her throat as primitive fear gripped her body. The giant could crush her with a single step. She backed away slowly, her hand reaching for her emergency beacon. But the giant made no threatening move. Instead, it slowly lowered itself to one knee, reducing its towering height. Then, with movements of deliberate gentleness, it extended one massive hand, palm up, toward her. The gesture was unmistakable across species, an offer of peace. Lisa's fear battled with her scientific curiosity. Every protocol dictated she should retreat and report. Yet something in the giant's eyes, a calm intelligence, perhaps even curiosity that mirrored her own, made her hesitate. In a decision that would change the course of 2 species' histories, Lisa stepped forward instead of back. With trembling fingers, she placed her small hand on the giant's enormous palm. The giant's 3 eyes blinked in sequence, and its mouth formed what might have been a smile. "I'm Lisa," she said, pointing to herself, knowing the words meant nothing but hoping the gesture would. The giant touched its chest with another of its 4 hands and made a sound like stones rolling together. "Vorax," Lisa repeated, attempting the rumbling syllables. And so began the first friendship between human and Nalthori, with a simple act of courage that defied both fear and protocol. Lisa's heart pounded as she approached the landing site. The encounter with the giant, Vorax, had lasted only minutes, But it had changed everything. Her team crowded around her when she arrived, relief evident on their faces. "What happened?" "Kevin said you got separated," asked Maya, the team's biologist. Lisa hesitated. Protocol demanded she report contact with an intelligent species immediately. But something held her back, fear that the humans would react with weapons first and questions later. "Just exploring," she said casually. "Found some interesting rock formations." Back on the horizon, Lisa sat through the debriefing with growing impatience. Captain Miller nodded as the team reported their findings. "So, no signs of current habitation?" he asked. "None that we could confirm," Kevin answered. "But those structures weren't natural." Lisa bit her lip. The lie of omission weighed on her, but she needed more information before potentially triggering a military response. 3 days later, a second expedition was authorized. Lisa made sure she was on the team. This time, she volunteered to monitor the landing site while others explored, claiming she wanted to gather soil samples. As soon as the team dispersed, Lisa slipped away toward the stone pillars where she had met Vorax. She didn't know if the giant would return, but she had to try. She waited an hour, beginning to lose hope, when a shadow fell across the ground. She looked up to see Vorax approaching, moving with surprising grace for such a massive being. "You came back," she said, then laughed at herself. Vorax couldn't understand her words. The giant settled onto the ground, folding its 4 arms in a careful manner. From a pouch at its waist, it produced what looked like a smooth stone tablet and extended it to Lisa. Curious, she took it. The surface began to glow, and simple images appeared, geometric shapes, then a crude drawing of a human figure and a Nalthori figure side by side. Lisa's eyes widened. "You want to communicate," she realized. She pointed to the human figure, then to herself. Human, then to the Nalthori image, then to Vorax. "Nalthori, is that what you are?" Vorax made that rumbling sound again, which Lisa took for affirmation. She sat down on a rock and began drawing simple objects on the tablet. A star, water, plants. For 2 hours, they traded images and sounds, building the beginnings of a shared vocabulary. Lisa learned that Vorax was what might be called a scholar among the Nalthori, studying history and natural sciences. When her comm unit beeped with a recall signal, Lisa realized she had stayed too long. She reluctantly stood. "I have to go," she said, pantaloning, walking away and then returning. "But I'll come back." Over the next 3 weeks, Lisa found ways to slip away during expeditions. Each time, Vorax was waiting. Their communication evolved rapidly, moving from simple objects to concepts. Lisa learned the Nalthori lived in cities built within mountains, keeping them hidden from orbital scans. "Why hide?" she asked one day, finally able to form basic questions. Vorax's 3 eyes blinked sadly. "Other beings fear Nalthori size. Past visitors see us. Attack first." Lisa nodded, understanding. Her initial fear had nearly made her do the same. On the horizon, questions began to arise about Lisa's solo excursions. Chief Security Officer Greg Foster cornered her in the mess hall. "You're spending a lot of time away from your team, Warren," he said, his voice casual but his eyes sharp. "Finding anything interesting out there alone?" "Just doing thorough science," she replied, keeping her face neutral. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. The Nalthori were facing a crisis. Their planet's core was destabilizing, affecting their gravity technology. They needed help but feared human reaction. Meanwhile, the colony leadership was growing suspicious. Lisa knew she couldn't keep her secret much longer. Soon she would have to choose: betray Vorax's trust or defy human authority. And neither option promised a happy ending. Lisa sat in her quarters, examining the small collection of Earth items she had gathered. A pocket compass, a music player, a packet of flower seeds, and a book of basic human history with pictures. These simple objects would be her gifts to Vorax today. She had managed to convince Captain Miller to let her lead a small, specialized research expedition near the stone pillars. It wasn't exactly a lie. She was conducting research, just not the kind the captain imagined. When she reached their meeting place, Vorax was already waiting. The giant's three eyes brightened when he spotted her approaching. "Lisa, friend comes," Vorax said in his rumbling voice. Their shared language was still basic, but growing more complex with each meeting. "I brought things to show you," Lisa said, laying out her small collection on a flat rock between them. Vorax examined each item with enormous but surprisingly delicate fingers. The compass needle swung wildly near him, and Lisa realized it was responding to something in the giant's body or clothing. "Your people use magnetic fields?" she asked. Vorax nodded, reaching into a pouch at his waist. He produced a small device that glowed with a soft blue light. When he activated it, Lisa gasped as a small rock near her feet slowly rose into the air. "Gravity control," Vorax explained. "This why your ships detect strange readings." Lisa's scientific mind raced with the implications. This technology could revolutionize space travel, medicine, construction, everything. Vorax's expression grew solemn. "Technology failing. Planet core changing. Soon, no more gravity control. That's why your people have been hidden," Lisa realized. "You're conserving power." The giant nodded sadly. "Many generations, Nalthori live in balance. Now, balance breaking." Lisa activated the music player, and soft classical music filled the air between them. Vorax's eyes widened with wonder. "Human emotion sounds," he said appreciatively. "Music," Lisa corrected with a smile. "We use it to express feelings when words aren't enough." Vorax produced a strange flute-like instrument with holes spaced for his massive fingers. The haunting melody he played made Lisa's eyes fill with tears, though she couldn't explain why. Their cultural exchange continued for hours. Lisa learned that the Nalthori lived in family groups spanning multiple generations, valued knowledge above material wealth, and believed in peaceful coexistence with nature. In return, she explained human concepts of nations, art, and scientific exploration. As the sun began to set, Vorax became serious. "Elders wish meet Lisa, friend," he said. "Others have watched. Know you come. Know you good." Lisa's heart raced with excitement and anxiety. "More Nalthori. How many?" "City of 3,000, Vorax replied. "Deep in mountain." The implication staggered her. Not just one friendly giant, but an entire civilization hidden beneath the mountains. A civilization with incredible technology that was now failing. "Vorax, I need to tell my people about you," Lisa said carefully. "Some will be afraid, but many will want to help." The giant's expression darkened. "Many off-worlders fear Nalthori size. See threat, not friends." "I was afraid too, at first," Lisa admitted. "But now I understand. I can help others understand." As they parted ways, Lisa promised to return with a plan. Walking back to the landing site, she didn't notice the small drone hovering high above, transmitting images of her meeting with Vorax directly to the colony ship. In his security office, Alan Phillips watched the footage with narrowed eyes. "What the hell are you doing, Warren?" he muttered, reaching for the comm to contact Captain Miller. Lisa returned to the horizon with hope and determination, unaware that her secret was already exposed. Tomorrow would bring confrontation, but tonight she dreamed of two species working together, each with something vital to offer the other. Alan Phillips crouched behind a rocky outcropping, the surveillance drone's controls gripped tightly in his hands. For 3 weeks, he had suspected Science Officer Warren was hiding something. Her pattern of disappearing during expeditions had raised too many red flags to ignore. What he saw through the drone's camera made his blood run cold. Lisa wasn't just exploring unauthorized areas. She was meeting with an alien creature of terrifying proportions, a giant that could crush her with one finger. "Got you," he whispered, recording everything as Lisa and the massive alien exchanged objects and what appeared to be communication. When Lisa finally headed back toward the colony ship's landing zone, Alan quickly packed his equipment and took a different route, ensuring he would arrive before her. By the time she returned, he was already uploading the footage to Captain Miller's secure channel. The next morning, Lisa was summoned to the command center. She entered confidently, but her smile faded when she saw the grim faces waiting for her. Captain Miller, Director Wilson, and Alan Phillips stood around the central display table, which showed a frozen image of her sitting across from Vorax. "Care to explain this, Warren?" Director Wilson asked, her voice like ice. Lisa's mind raced. "I can explain." "Explain what?" Ellen cut in. "That you've been secretly meeting with a potentially hostile alien species. That you've been sharing information about our colony without authorization." "Vorax isn't hostile," Lisa insisted. "The Nalthori are peaceful. They've been on this planet for centuries, and they've been hiding because they're afraid of how other species might react to their size." Captain Miller crossed his arms. "And you didn't think this was important enough to report?" "I was gathering information first," Lisa said. "I was afraid we'd respond with weapons before understanding." "Which is exactly what we should be preparing now," Alan argued. "These things could overrun our colony in minutes. Look at the size of it." Director Wilson replayed part of the recording, showing Lisa and Vorax exchanging objects. "What did you give it?" she demanded. "Cultural items. A compass, music, books," Lisa answered. "And Vorax showed me their gravity manipulation technology. It's incredible. That's what's causing the unusual readings we detected from orbit." The command center doors opened as more colony officials entered. Word had spread quickly. Dr. Ryan Barnes, the colony's chief scientist, looked particularly interested. "You've been communicating with them." "How?" he asked. "We developed a basic shared language," Lisa explained, sensing a potential ally. "They're highly intelligent and curious, and they're facing a crisis. Their planet's core is destabilizing, affecting their gravity technology. They need help." The room erupted in debate. Some, like Alan, advocated for immediate defensive preparations. Others were curious about the technological possibilities. Director Wilson listened to all sides, her expression unreadable. "Officer Warren," she finally said, silencing the room, "you are confined to quarters pending a full investigation into this breach of protocol. Your access to all ship systems is revoked." "But, Director, that's final," Wilson said firmly. "Security, escort Warren to her quarters." As Lisa was led away, she heard the continuing arguments behind her. Dr. Barnes was advocating for scientific contact, while Security Chief Allen was already outlining defensive positions. In her quarters, Lisa paced anxiously. She had promised Vorax she would return with news about potential cooperation. If she didn't show up, the Nalthori might think humans had rejected peaceful contact. Or worse, that something had happened to her. The door chime interrupted her thoughts. It was Maya, the biologist from her original landing team. "Half the colony is talking about your giant friend," Maya said, slipping inside. "People are taking sides. Some are terrified, but others are excited about what we might learn." "I need to warn Vorax," Lisa said urgently. "If Alan convinces Wilson to take aggressive action." Maya nodded, understanding immediately. "The maintenance tunnels in Section C have minimal security. I can help you get out tonight." Lisa grasped her friend's hands gratefully. "Thank you. I have to try to prevent a disaster before it's too late." As night fell over the colony, two very different plans were being put into motion, one of peace and one of fear. Alarms blared throughout the human colony as defensive systems activated automatically. Lisa ran through the corridors toward the command center, pushing past panicked colonists. "What's happening?" she demanded as she burst into the room. Director Wilson stood rigidly before the main view screen, which showed multiple red dots approaching from the direction of the mountains. "The Giants have launched what appears to be defensive platforms," Wilson said coldly. "They detected our weapons preparations." Lisa's heart sank. It's a misunderstanding. They're just scared. Scared. Wilson cut her off. Those things are 3 times our size with gravity manipulation technology. We're the ones who should be scared. Security Chief Alan Phillips entered with a squad of armed officers. Ma'am, the perimeter defense grid is online. We have targeting solutions for the approaching objects. Hold your fire, Lisa shouted. Please, just let me talk to them. Wilson hesitated, then nodded sharply. You have 5 minutes, Warren. Then we protect our people. Lisa rushed to the communications array and sent an emergency signal on the frequency Vorax had given her. Vorax, please respond. There's a misunderstanding. The screen flickered, and Vorax's face appeared. Behind him, other Nalthori moved urgently around what looked like a command center. Lisa, friend, Vorax rumbled, his 3 eyes blinking rapidly in what she now recognized as distress. Your people prepare weapons. Nalthori must protect. We're afraid because we don't understand, Lisa explained quickly. Your defensive measures only confirmed our fears. We need to stop this cycle now. Director Wilson stepped forward. Is this the giant you've been meeting with? Yes, this is Vorax, a scholar. Director Wilson, please listen. An alarm cut her off. One of the officers called out, incoming object, high velocity. Defensive countermeasures, Wilson ordered. No, both Lisa and Vorax shouted simultaneously. Lisa made a split-second decision. I'm going out there, she announced, running for the airlock. Warren, get back here. Wilson called after her, but Lisa was already gone. Outside, Lisa stood in the open area between the colony buildings and the perimeter defenses. Above her, a Nalthori device hovered, its purpose unknown to the humans, but reading as a threat on their sensors. A ground transport roared up behind her, and security personnel poured out, weapons raised. Alan Phillips approached her, his rifle pointed at the hovering object. Stand aside, Warren, he ordered. That thing could be a weapon. It's not, Lisa insisted, though she wasn't entirely sure herself. If you fire, you'll start a war we can't win. A rumbling sound drew their attention as Vorax himself appeared, striding across the open ground toward them. The security team's weapons immediately trained on him. Hold your fire. Lisa screamed, running forward to place herself directly between the approaching giant and the human security forces. Vorax stopped, his massive form towering over her. The humans gasped collectively at the size difference. Lisa barely reached his knee. Lisa, friend, should not risk, Vorax said softly. Both our species risk everything right now, she replied, then turned to face her fellow humans. Look at us. If he wanted to harm me, he could have done it dozens of times. The Nalthori have technology that could save their planet and revolutionize ours. And we have the manufacturing capabilities they need to fix their failing systems. Director Wilson had arrived on the scene, staring up at the giant with a mixture of fear and awe. Their gravity technology is failing because of planetary core changes. Lisa continued. They need our help as much as we could benefit from their knowledge. Wilson studied Lisa standing fearlessly beside the giant, then made a decision that would change the course of both species' futures. Stand down weapons, she ordered. All of them. If they wanted to attack, they would have done so already. As the weapons lowered, Vorax extended one of his 4 arms, palm up, toward Director Wilson. Talk, he said simply. Then decide. Wilson looked at the enormous hand, then at Lisa, who nodded encouragingly. With visible hesitation, the director stepped forward and placed her hand on Vorax's palm. We will talk, Wilson agreed. But this had better be worth it, Warren. Lisa smiled with relief. The crisis point had passed, but the hardest part of bringing 2 worlds together was just beginning. The Great Hall, built for the first official meeting between humans and Nalthori, stood at the halfway point between the colony and the mountain city. Its unique architecture featured both human-sized areas and larger spaces for the giants, symbolizing the bridge between 2 civilizations. Lisa stood nervously beside Director Wilson as they waited for the Nalfori delegation. Behind them, colony scientists Eric Johnson and Maria Rodriguez made final adjustments to the translation devices they had developed based on Lisa's notes. "Are you sure this will work?" Director Wilson whispered. "The basic translation algorithms should handle diplomatic language," Maria replied. "We've incorporated everything Lisa taught us about Nalfori communication patterns." A low rumbling vibration signaled the approach of the Nalfori. Lisa's heart lifted when she saw Vorax leading a group of 5 other giants toward the hall. The Nalfori wore ceremonial garments with intricate patterns that seemed to shift with their movements. "Remember," Lisa advised the human delegation, "direct eye contact with all 3 eyes is considered respectful, and their gestures may seem slow to us, but that's deliberate carefulness, not hesitation." As the 2 groups approached each other in the central chamber, a hush fell over the humans. Even prepared, the sight of beings 3 times their height was overwhelming. Vorax knelt down to be closer to human level, and the other Nalfori followed his example. "Friends of Lisa are friends of Nalfori," Vorax rumbled in his deep voice. The translation devices captured his words, converting them to clear human speech. Director Wilson stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth and its colonies, we extend peaceful greetings to the Nalfori people." The ceremony proceeded smoothly. The Nalfori elder named Thrax presented a small device that generated a miniature model of their shared solar system, floating in midair. Director Wilson offered a data crystal containing human music, art, and literature. In the back of the human section, 3 maintenance workers moved quietly toward the power distribution panels. No one paid them any attention as they opened access ports and connected small devices to the circuitry. They wore standard uniforms, but their expressions were tight with tension. Maria frowned. "Maintenance was completed yesterday. There shouldn't be any need." A sharp electronic tone cut through the diplomatic exchanges. The 3 workers abandoned all pretense of normal duties and darted toward the exits. "Everyone down," Eric shouted, his security training from before he became a scientist kicking in. "Those are detonators." Chaos erupted as both humans and Nalfori reacted to the warning. The first explosion came from beneath the translator console, sending shards of metal and plastic flying across the chamber. More explosions followed, striking power systems and support structures. Lisa watched in horror as a section of the ceiling began to collapse directly above where Director Wilson stood frozen in shock. Without hesitation, Vorax lunged forward, his massive body covering both Lisa and the director as debris crashed down around them. When the rumbling stopped, Lisa emerged from beneath Vorax's protective form to find the giant's back lacerated by metal fragments, blue fluid seeping from multiple wounds. "Vorax," she cried, pressing her hands uselessly against his enormous injuries. "Lisa, friend, safe?" the giant asked weakly. "Yes, thanks to you," she replied, tears streaming down her face. All around them, humans and Nalfori were helping each other amid the wreckage. Maria worked frantically to stabilize a wounded Nalfori elder, while Eric coordinated emergency response teams through his comm unit. Director Wilson stared at the wounded giant who had saved her life, her perspective visibly shifting. Who would do this? She demanded of no one in particular. "People who fear what they don't understand," Lisa answered, still trying to help Vorax. "We need to get him medical attention immediately." As emergency teams arrived, Lisa refused to leave Vorax's side. The sight of her caring so deeply for the injured giant affected everyone who witnessed it. Humans who had arrived with weapons holstered them to help carry wounded Nalfori on improvised stretchers. Meanwhile, security teams led by Alan Phillips pursued the saboteurs who had fled into the wilderness between colonies. The attack had failed in its ultimate goal. Instead of driving the species apart, it had united them in crisis. "Find those responsible," Director Wilson ordered as medics attended to her minor injuries. This wasn't just an attack on the Nalfori. It was an attack on our future. Lisa gazed at Vorax's pained expression as medics from both species worked together to stabilize him. "Stay with me," she whispered. "We've come too far to lose everything now." 3 months after the attack, the landscape between the human colony and the Nalthori Mountains had transformed. Where once stood empty plains, now rose the framework of a joint settlement. Buildings designed for both species stood side by side, with shared spaces that accommodated the size difference through clever architectural solutions. Lisa walked through the medical facility, nodding to the human and Nalthori staff working together. She reached Vorax's recovery chamber and smiled at the sight of the giant sitting up, explaining something to a group of fascinated human doctors. "Their bone density responds differently to the gravitational field," Vorax was saying through the now perfected translator device. "This makes healing process unique." "Teaching again?" Lisa asked, entering the room. Vorax's 3 eyes brightened at her arrival. "Lisa, friend. Good timing. I show medical team how Nalthori healing methods might help humans." The head physician, Dr. Nina Wells, looked up from her notes. "His knowledge of cellular regeneration is remarkable. We've already adapted some techniques to treat conditions we thought were permanent." After the doctors left, Lisa sat beside Vorax's oversized bed. "The saboteurs have all been apprehended." Alan led the final arrest himself. "Alan, who once feared, now understands?" Vorax asked. Lisa nodded. "Seeing you save Director Wilson changed many minds, including his." The view from the recovery room showed both colonies. Human ships arrived regularly now, bringing specialists eager to study Nalthori technology. In return, human engineers had already designed systems to stabilize the planet's core, ensuring the Nalthori gravity technology would function for generations to come. "Council meeting today," Vorax reminded her. "First official treaty." "I know. Are you sure you're strong enough to attend?" The giant rose carefully from his bed, stretching his 4 arms. The scars on his back were still visible, but the wounds had healed well. "For this historic moment, I find strength." Later that day, in the newly constructed Joint Council chamber, representatives from both species gathered. Director Wilson and the Nalthori elder Thrax signed the official alliance document, the first of its kind between humans and giants. "This treaty recognizes the sovereign rights of both our peoples," Wilson announced, "and establishes protocols for shared research, cultural exchange, and mutual defense." Thrax's deep voice followed. "For generations, Nalthori hid from other beings. Fear kept us apart. One human's courage changed our future." All eyes turned to Lisa, who blushed at the attention. After the ceremony, Lisa and Vorax walked to a special observation deck built at the boundary between human and Nalthori territories. The deck was designed with a gradual height change, allowing both species to stand comfortably while viewing the spectacular sunset over the mountains. "Remember when we first met?" Lisa asked, leaning against the railing. "I was terrified." "I also feared," Vorax admitted. "Smaller beings often attack when afraid, but you placed hand on mine instead." "Sometimes the bravest thing is just staying put when everything tells you to run," Lisa said thoughtfully. As darkness fell, lights came on throughout the joint settlement, human and Nalthori homes glowing side by side. In orbit, the first joint species research vessel prepared for its maiden voyage, equipped with Nalthori gravity drives and human navigation systems. "They call us bridge builders now," Lisa said. "Children from both species will grow up together, never knowing the fear we had to overcome." Vorax gently placed one massive finger next to Lisa's hand on the railing, their own version of holding hands. "One friendship changed 2 worlds," the giant said simply. As stars appeared in the darkening sky, Lisa thought about the incredible journey that had begun with a single act of courage. Humans and Nalthori working together were already achieving what neither could accomplish alone. New medicines, revolutionary transportation, and deepened understanding of the universe itself. All because one human dared to befriend an alien giant. In the growing settlement below, human children played alongside young Nalthori, their laughter bridging the gap between worlds that once seemed impossibly far apart. Lisa smiled. This was just the beginning.